Hey y'all, this is Jim, your humble host with YSC, and I'm here with my friend Dennis from the Bonsai Shop.
Hi everybody.
Today we're going to talk about something completely different, so if you don't think you're going to like it, click to the next video.
Closer now, cause I don't wanna slow this down. My heart is screaming out your name. I'm wasted on you. Here we are, right underneath the stars. So let's get a little reckless. You make me breathless, and I won't waste it.
Well, let's get started. Dennis is going to start with showing us some tools that go with the trade and how to trim this particular plant before we start repotting Steve's bonsai.
All right, we have an assortment of bonsai tools. There's quite a few in the practice of bonsai. These guys we're going to specifically talk about. This is called a knob cutter, the rounded edge. Okay, so the concave is designed so that if you wanted to cut off a branch, it'll actually make an indentation in the bark. This means when the bark heals over, it won't have a lump on it. It'll heal over smooth because the indentation will compensate for the thickness of the bark as it grows back over. So that's the idea of having these. Now they're all different sizes so that you can cut very minute, minuscule little twigs. You can remove medium-sized branches such as these. And then of course you can remove very large branches such as these with your bigger cutter. But you see, you always get that concave cut, which when it goes ahead and heals, that'll be flush with the rest of the trunk. A lot of beginners will get a tool in their hand and they'll just start cutting with it. These are stainless steel, they're very strong, but there's only so much thickness. So you grab a hold of a big thick branch and you can actually bend your cutters out of shape. So that's the reason there's so many different sizes. In addition, there's no rule that says you have to get the entire branch in one go. You can actually take pieces of it and clip it off. That way we're sure to preserve the tool as well as take care of the cut. In bonsai, you're meant to hand these down to your great grandkids. So same idea, you want to take care of your tools and they'll last you a lifetime.
Okay, so we've learned about the tools, and I'm going to show you my new set of tools. Quite exciting. You know me, I always like to buy new tools. And for right now, we're going to replant. Is that the way we would say it?
Repot, replant, sure.
And remove some of the roots off the tree, which will keep it in the size. So let me get out of the frame and let Dennis take over now, and he's going to show you some more fun stuff. I love doing videos like this. I don't have to work very hard.
Okay, so to repot Steve's tree, you can still see this wire across the surface here. That's actually holding the tree in place. When we trim back roots in bonsai, the big roots like this don't actually do anything for the tree itself as far as feeding it. These are stabilizers. They hold the tree upright. The little tiny fine hair roots, that's what feeds the tree. That's how they intake their nutrients. Okay, so when we go ahead and trim these roots back, it destabilizes the tree. It wants to rock. So we always tie it in firmly. That way when the new hair roots try to grow, they're so little and so delicate, if the tree can rock, they're going to break. So we always wire them in initially. So there's a whole little network of wires down here. You can see that. We're going to cut away right now, and I'll just cut them real quickly. I'll just lean them and cut them, and then I'll show you once they've been cut loose. We just move these out like so. There's a screen in there holding it. We just cut these loose and we'll be able to lift the tree right out. Nice bit of moss here. We'll go ahead and save this. So we'll give it a fast little slice with this saw. It's the easiest way to loosen the tree in the pot. It doesn't do a lot of damage as it hugs right against the edge of the pot. We want to try our best not to shock the tree too much. This is traumatic for them, so it's best to work quickly whenever you want to repot and get down and do it fast and get the tree taken care of quickly. That should probably be enough. And there we go. So we have a good strong root ball growing vigorously. All we need to do is get these wires out, the old wires out now. So now the tree that's its own root mass there. So it's fine just to support itself with that. We're going to go around and loosen all this up, and we're going to put in fresh soil. or I call it soil, it's actually just lava rock. It's a bonsai mix. This one has pumice in it. Ficus are trees that can grow aerial roots down from the branches and just live right in the air. So they don't like organic mucky soil. They can rot very easily during the rainy season. So this is the ideal mix for something like a tiger bark ficus like this. Okay, so I'll clean this up and then I'll show you the next step, setting the pot up. Whenever you repot, it's just a good practice to go ahead and rinse out the pot. You make sure that any fungus or anything that may have been in the other tree goes away. So it's always good to clean up a little bit. Now, the first thing we're gonna need is our little mesh, very fine, so that the soil doesn't run through and we don't have a sinkhole in our tree. So we're just gonna attach it. We're gonna do that by making a little clip. I think the easiest way is to go ahead and be a little specific with it and be a little careful and go ahead to get it to fit really well. That way, when I'll show you, once I get the screen through here, it won't move. It'll stay right in place for the whole time. So I just slipped that through the bottom. You can see I made just that little clip. We just slip it right through the bottom, and all we do is just bend it over, and now this can't move at all. No movement whatsoever. So the next thing, you'll notice the 3 holes. We're gonna do a bigger version of what we just did. We're gonna go ahead and make these fit. And I go ahead and I measure pretty carefully, because you'll see as I drop this one through, what you want is for that guy to sit flush on the bottom of the pot. See, there's no bow. If that had a bow in it, you tie your tree and you tie your tree down, the next thing you know, the tree's gonna wobble. So I make sure that I get these nice and flush. That way when I tighten, the tree stays firmly in place. So we're gonna do one more of these here to here. I get that nice flush straight to the bottom. There, you see it's very flat. So we're good to go. What we'll do now is we'll rake out some of the roots on the tree. I'll show you that next, and then we'll run these wires up through the root system. I'll show you how to tie it down. Okay, so now we got the little monster out of the pot. We're gonna go ahead and loosely rake out these hair roots somewhat so we can put in a fresh mix. You can see that from the nursery, there was still some of this organic material left in. As I was saying earlier, ficus like a lot of aeration to the roots. So I'm going to be a little bit careful and try to remove some more of this, so that we have mostly a much better, drier, aerated mix. So all you do, simple tool like this, got a fork, and it's also got a pry when sometimes you need to pry out your pot. So it's a dual use little guy. And you just gently, you don't want to rip through the roots. You just want to more or less, you'll see I kind of shake them. I'll fit the prongs in, and then I'll just kind of shake those roots to remove that soil. That's a much better way. You break far less roots that way. And as I said before, you want to work fairly quickly. You don't want to leave these little hair roots are what keep the tree alive. And you can see how small they are, and they will dry out very quickly out in the air like this. So we want to go ahead and just work pretty quick, get them back in a pot where they're more sheltered. But the health of the tree is very good. We have a lot of hair roots. That's what we're looking for. Now this time of year, we're in February now, in our brutal Florida winter. It's probably, what, 80 degrees here today. So we were allowed to get away with a little more than normal, but subtropical trees, they do think our winter is tough when we do get some cold spells. We're allowed to do this one. We were getting some yellow leaves and we wanted to address it, and the weather's been so nice, and we are coming into what is our spring very soon. So I don't particularly feel like doing this now is wrong. If it were a February where it was really cold and we were having a lot of 40-degree days, I would say by all means wait till the end of March or something. As I said, it's about 80 degrees today, so I don't predict any problem. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little layer in the bottom here, and we may have to adjust this up or down. We'll do a trial fit, see how we are. If before the tree had a nice lean to it, this pot and this strong branch going kind of horizontally across the plane of the design is good. I like to have a front panel to work off of, so let's call this our front of the pot. We'll have this lean out over this corner. So we want to be situated roughly like that, so that this horizontal one stays more or less like it was centered over the pot. So this is what I'm shooting for. I put a little too much in. I'm going to remove a little bit. We want some down there, of course, for the new roots to grow into, but we are gonna, of course, fill it up with the normal mix. So that looks more like what I was trying to do. So what I'll do is we'll just tie these down temporarily. We're gonna go ahead and make sure that much more secure than it is right now, but this is just to situate the tree for the moment, because what I don't want to do is tighten it too tight, because I still want to do some minor adjustments with how the tree looks. That's looking very good to me. We want it centered in the pot, but we want this also, this part to go back out over the pot, sort of a counterbalance, if you will. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to bolster it with a little more soil from behind, and I'm going to get a highly technical, very secret high-tech tool right now, wooden chopstick. And what we do with this, it's excellent for getting out any air pockets without getting soil down into those little hair roots we looked at. This is the guy to use. I can't think of anything better, so it's what I've always had and always done. We'll go a little more soil, and then I'll show you really how to tie it down. Okay, so what we'll do, I'm going to trim some of these excess wire off. I'm going to grab that little thing, I'm going to pull up and then twist down. So already our tree is in that pot, but we're gonna even make sure it stays even better. Now, the last thing to check before we hide these wires, we need to look underneath and make sure our wires are still flush, and they are, they're perfect. If we had that bow in there, the dreaded bow, we don't want, the tree would be loose. So we stayed flush and perfectly in the pot. So that's good. Now we can hide our mechanics here, dig a little hole, and when we put the soil over, we won't even see those wires that are holding the tree upright. So we're gonna go ahead and fill it the rest of the way in. And like I said, it's important to work a little bit fast. We're gonna immediately take this over and water it, make sure we reduce any chance of any shock. So to get these little hair roots that we messed with so that they're still happy. So right now we just got it all situated, and we have our little piece of moss over here that we saved. So I think we're gonna put it right back in, right in front of the tree like so. And then all it remains to do is we're gonna water it in. After a couple of weeks, when spring starts to hit, buds are gonna break all over this. It's gonna start to grow really vigorously in the new mix. And that'll be a time when we start wanna look at wiring various branches down and really shaping the tree. But for one go, you don't wanna do too much to them. So the repotting, that's one thing, and we do that, we don't mess with it anymore, okay?
I really appreciate that.
My pleasure.
It's awesome. So I'm hoping my subscribers do as well. But this is your humble host, Dennis, saying thank you very much for watching us.
Yep, thanks a lot, everybody.
If you don't like it, you know what to do. See you all next
I will
time.
stand by you forever, and I won't waste it.